Hey guys, this video will be for Unit 2, Lesson 10, and this video is all about just polishing up our Pong game and putting some last minute touches on it. So there's two questions you really need to concern yourself with. One, how do you add physics properties like bounciness to an object? And two, how do you create a function in C#? Take about 5 seconds and answer the question on your worksheet. When you're done, come back here, press the play button, and you will find out the answer. I'm going to pause for about 5 seconds, and then we'll review what the answers are. Alright, cool. Let's review what these answers are. First, how do you add physics properties like bounciness to an object? Well, it's pretty simple. All we need to do is just go into here, and I'm going to go create. Again, for me, it's a little bit different, but under the C# script, you'll see 2D, and inside of 2D, you'll see physics material 2D. Again, since we're working with 2D objects, you want to make sure that you're using the physics material 2D. But when you do, you will have bounciness and friction that you can apply to your object. And again, you'll apply that under the material for the collider. And if you want to apply it for the rigid body, you also can, but either of these will be fine. All right, how do you create a function in C#? Well, let's actually Google it. How to create a function in C#? Oh, look, we have some resources. Another way you can also do this is just do in Unity to be more specific. And here's another resource for you right here.
Variables.
So you either resource you like. I'm gonna actually I'll click on this one here. Why not?
Anything. So it's return void.
And we have an answer right here.
When we make our own.
I'll leave this in the resources for you to click on it. But essentially, the way you want to make a function inside of C# is you want to just start off with the keyword void. This won't do an integer, but we can do keyword void to make it simple for ourselves. And again, we're going to go over how we do both those things in today's lesson, so don't stress it. Alright, so let's get into it. Here's the agenda for today. It's going to be 3 simple things. The first 2 are going to be very simple. The last one is going to be a little bit challenging, but we'll work through it and get through it together. First, we're going to talk about text message file. Then we're going to talk about how we can convert data types inside of Unity. And finally, we're going to talk about how we can reset this game so that everything starts from scratch. The assignment for today is you're just going to polish up your Pong game. There's not really much else left in this game, so we're just going to polish it and we'll be done. So let's polish this up. So a quick progress check. We're making Pong game. By now, you should be able to trigger a score count when one object touches the goal, and by one object I mean your ball. And the ball should also be able to bounce off another object and another wall. We're almost at the end. So what do we need to do to polish this up? Well, if you compare what's happening over here to what's happening in our Pong game right here, you will see a distinct lack of numbers on the screen. So that's one thing we need to do, add numbers. Another thing we need to do is if we run this program, you will notice that whenever the ball hits the goal, it kind of just keeps going off on the screen, and there's no way of resetting it back to its original position. Next thing we want to do, we just want to reset that ball back. So, those are 2 things we need to focus on. Let's actually focus on them today. First, let's talk about how we can actually make our visual text on the screen. And really, let's dive into the text message file. So, there are 2 ways of creating text in Unity. You can use 3D text or text message file. 3D text is like a built-in system for doing text, and where a text message file is like something you have to like import in. I prefer using Text Message Pro because it's a better system, and I'm going to go over how that actually works. So again, we're going to focus on that one. Alright, so let's go to Unity, and let's talk about how the Text Message Pro works. Before I do that, I just want to just show you a quick example of the other one. If you ever want to do 3D text, just go to Game Object, 3D Object, and right here you have 3D text. If you click on it, you will see that your text looks like this, and you'll notice that it kind of looks weird. Like looks like very low quality. Now, there's ways to fix the quality issues of the text, but honestly, the settings that you have under here is not really good. That's why I actually don't use it, and I stopped using the 3D text a long time ago. So I want to show you guys what I actually use whenever I'm making any games. The one I actually use is, if we go to Game Object, 3D, the one I actually use is Text Mesh Pro right here. Now, before we actually make the Text Mesh Pro, when I had you guys import your the first Unity package, it actually imported Text Mesh Pro for you guys. The only issue with something happened with my import where the text looked all wonky. That's why in the first video the text looks really weird. If we want to fix that, here's what we're going to do. Before you actually add in your Text Mesh Pro into your game, I want you to go onto the left hand side right here in this panel, and you will see a folder for Text Mesh Pro. I want you to click on that folder and delete it. And just delete every single thing inside that folder. Like that. The reason we're doing this is because when we import this in, we want it to be a fresh version of Text Mesh Pro. We don't want anything wonky to happen. So we just simply deleted Text Mesh Pro folder just so we can re-add it in, and everything will be fresh and clean. Now that I delete that folder, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click where it says Game Object up here. I'm going to go to 3D Object. I'm going to go to where it says Text Mesh Pro and click on it right here. When I do that, you'll see it says TMP Importer, and you import TMP Essentials. TMP stands for Text Mesh Pro, and just click Import Text Mesh Pro Essentials. When you do that, a giant text should pop up right here called Sample Text, and this is exactly what we want to see. You see this text is not like pixelated, it looks really clear. This is what we want to use. With that in there, I'm going to click W on the keyboard. I'm going to click on the up arrow right here. And right now, I'm just going to move it into place. And I'm going to press R on the keyboard. I'm going to click on the little white box in the middle. It'll highlight yellow. I'm going to click it and I'm going to drag it to the left-hand side. Now I just scaled the object so it's really small. Like so. And with this object created, I'm just going to name this P1 goal. And I'll call it P1 goal text to make it simple for me. Now with the one I have my score for one player. If I want to make it for another player, I could simply do one or two things. I could go to Game Object, click where it says 3D Object, and click this again. But that is a lot of steps and a lot of work. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on the text. I'm going to put Control D and then David on the keyboard. And then from there, I'm going to press W, click on the arrow, and move over like so. And now, when I go here, I'm just going to rename it P2 Goal Text. Now, really quickly, when I pressed Control D, what that did was it just duplicated the object, as you saw, and I'm able to move it from there. Control D just stands for duplicate. Alright, so we have our text in here. Awesome. Now let's actually make it so that the text will actually change the score of a player. So, here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to first click on this goal right here. I actually should name this. I feel like I should rename some of this stuff. I'm going to rename this PT goal. Why not? Only because I'm going to get myself mixed up if I don't. Yeah, cool. I'm going to get myself mixed up if I don't do that. You can leave yours B. Just keep it this way if you need be. So, here's what you're going to do next. I'm going to go into my script, like so. And the reason I'm going to my script is because I want to, this script right now holding information for our score. And whenever the Pong ball touches this object right here, it adds 1 to the current score. Now, when I run the program, I can see the score change inside of the script right here, but there's no way of visually seeing that score change inside of Unity. What I need to do is I need to create a link between this text right here and the score for the goal right here. The way I do that is I'm going to go into my script and I'm going to get a link to the text mesh pro object here. The way I do that is I'm going to go scroll all the way to the top, and you'll see how it says using system collection, using all this stuff. Think of this like how when you did Python and you would do something like import random to import like a random number. It's the same thing here. All we're doing is we're just adding a new package that we can then use inside of Unity. The reason why I mentioned this is because we actually need to add in the TextMesh Pro package so that this script can actually recognize all the TextMesh Pro parameter components, so whatever have you. So the very first thing we do before we do anything, we just type in using tmpro. From there, what we're going to do, sorry about that, what we're going to do is we're going to go into here. Now, right underneath the variable you made for your integer score, we're going to do public TextMesh Pro, and I'll call this score text, like that. Now, the reason I made it public is so I can access it inside Unity. TextMesh Pro is the name of the object that we want to put into, that we want to get the link to. Then I just store that as a variable. I'm going to just save this really quickly. And when I go into Unity, you'll see that now we have a blank field for called score text, and where it says none, it says it's looking for a TextMesh Pro object. That means that the object that I need to add in here is my TextMesh Pro. So I'm just going to click on any of the objects in here. I'm going to click on this object. With this one selected, I'm going to click this object, hold it down, and select it, drag it in right there. Really quickly, if you're having trouble like dragging this object into your goal, here's what you do. See, I was having trouble and I was struggling adding this object in because whenever I clicked on one, it got rid of all the information. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the goal again, and up at the top, right where you see an inspector, if you go all the way to the right, you'll see a little lock. You click this lock on, that means that no matter what object you click on right here, it'll keep that P2 goal highlighted here. So now I can click this and drag it in much easier. And when I'm done with that, I can just click this little lock and we're good to go. So now I set the goal text to link to the goal right here, and we're good there. Now, here's what we want to do. We have a link between our Unity scene and our script. I want to first test to make sure this link works. The way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to simply get that text message file. I'm just going to change the text to just say something whenever I start the game, just so I know it works. So the way I do it, I'm going to get the variable score text, and then inside that score text object, I'm going to get text, and I'm going to assign that to just say this work question mark, like that. When I save it and go back to Unity like this, and I click the run button, you see it changed it from sample text to this work. So great, we know that works. Now what we're going to do, we're going to actually set this to actually change the score value. So before I get into that, I just wanted to just quickly highlight this one thing for you guys. The reason why I did TextMesh Pro in the code, sorry, why I did score text.text, is because this is getting a link to the TextMesh Pro component. So this is basically saying TextMesh Pro, and inside the TextMesh Pro, I want to get the text parameter or text variable. If you go here, you'll see the text parameter right here, exactly what it's getting and changing. Now, with that being said, we know that the link between the code and the Unity works, so we're going to delete this. And we are going to instead go into here, and we want it to be that whenever the ball touches the object, we're going to increase the score, and then we're going to change the text. So at the end of the score line, we're going to go here, and I'm going to get the variable for the score text, and I'm going to go inside of it. I'm going to change the text parameter, and I want that to be equal to the score, like that. So I'm going to save this program, and you'll see I have a red underline, and that is fine because I'm going to show you guys what that means. Now, when I go back into Unity and I run the program, if I simply just try to set the text here to be equal to the score integer, it's going to get an error right here, and it says cannot implicitly convert type int to string. The reason for that is because this text right here is a string, where this right here is a integer. Unlike when we did Python, you cannot just change one type of data to another very easily. So we have to do a certain thing in order to make this work. Let's go back to the slides right here because I have a little visual for you guys to explain this a little bit more. And now we're going to do what's called converting data types. So, like I said, C# doesn't allow you to implicitly convert one data type to another, meaning it doesn't allow you to easily change from one data type to another automatically. An example of a program that does allow you to do that is Python. Remember in Python when you do print 7 divided by 2 and you would get 3.5? This 7 right here is an integer, and the 2 right here is an integer. We know that the integers because they don't have a decimal in them. But when we divide the two, it created a float, right? This will actually not work inside of C#. I could give you an example of it, but it will literally just it will likely just print out an error. So again, this is not the way to do it inside of C#. It's not going to simply get an integer and convert it to a float for you. We need to do all that stuff manually. Here's how we do it. Ignore this header right here, but right here is how you actually can convert the data types. So if we want to convert something to a string, at the end you would do .toString, like so, open close parentheses. If you wanted to convert something into a float, you would do float.parse. Then inside of there, you would insert whatever string or integer you want to convert. Integer converting to an integer is the same process. Int.parse, and then whatever string or float you want to convert, you put that there. Finally, Boolean, you just do to Boolean like so, and then that will change whatever you're doing into a Boolean. Now, if we want to change something to text, we're going to use this string one right here. And then here you just do .toString. One quick note I want to say before I go back into Unity is make sure you guys take notes on this section, because this will come up a lot whenever you're using Unity and whenever you're programming. So we have .toString here. Let's jump back into the code. So we know the code we need to make this work, to convert this from an integer to a string. So at the end of score, which is our integer, I'm going to do dot capital 2 string like so, open close parentheses. When I save that, you'll see that the red underline went away. And if I go back into Unity and I run the program, oh, that did not work. Why did it not work? Let's find out. So I went back here. I saved it. Oh, very simple reason as to why it didn't work. I'm gonna go here. And the reason why it didn't work is because I have this script to set only to work when the goal is touched. So when the goal is touched, it changes the score like that. Now that's actually a good way to do it, but another way we can do it actually might be to simply have it always check what the score is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code here. And I'm just going to also paste it inside of here, like so. And when I save it, now when I run the program, it's always checking what the score is, like that. Awesome. So with that being said, you can do the same thing for the other side. And then I think what I'll do is there's one more thing we want to go over. We want to go over how we can, sorry, we want to go over how we can reset the game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pause this here and I'll make a separate video for resetting the game. Just make sure that you have your Pong game set so that you can see the score on this goal and also on this goal. When you got that done, you're done for this lesson, and then I'm going to have a bonus video just polishing up the last few things for this Pong game. With that being said, that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.